Welcome back, everyone, to the newest episode of our podcast series, Ready, Set, Rewatch, a show where we go back and take a look at movies and TV shows we love, maybe some that we hate. My name is Skyler, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Daniel.
What's up, everybody?
And let's keep going on our trek, our Star Trek.
Yeah, we got some real episodes of all time this time. You know what I mean?
We have these episodes definitely aired. I actually quite like most of one of these at least. So let's get into it.
Gotcha. So we're on episode 20 or 21. Again, the numbering is weird. It's called Court Martial. And it starts with two Enterprises floating over the planet. And I was like, this isn't like a unique ship? There's two of these?
No, it's a oh man, what is it called? The class of ship. I should know this. Looking it up.
We're one sentence in, and I've destroyed you.
It is a Constitution class ship.
Ah.
So it's out there. We've got more out there.
Nice. Well, they're floating over a planet that has they've gone to a planet to get repairs because I guess the Enterprise, when we weren't looking, went through an ion storm and got real badly banged up. So they're at Starbase 11, which is, I double checked, the same one from the Menagerie episode, but the guy in charge is different now. Instead of Commodore Mendez, now it's Commodore Stone. And I'm not really sure why.
It's entirely possible that the guy from last time just truly never existed.
Just never existed.
Yeah, we start in the captain's log, and Kirk is already like, we had an ion storm, and there's a guy that's dead. Like, yeah. Oh, off to a great start.
We lost one crew member, and the ship is badly damaged, and we gotta go. So here we are on Starbase 11. Kirk's doing some paperwork, by which I mean he's rereading his deposition about how this crew member died. And he basically says that while they were in the Iron Storm, something was going on. He had to put this guy into a pod. He had to put Benjamin Finney into a pod, which they don't specify what that means. I don't know if that means it's like a shuttle pod or shuttlecraft or whatever. For whatever reason, he's on this thing. But then they put it on a yellow alert, and then it gets worse, and they put it on a red alert, and he doesn't get back in time, so they have to jettison the pod. So it must not be a shuttlecraft, because you wouldn't jettison a shuttlecraft. I don't know what the pod is.
I don't think they ever clarify what it is per se, but it almost sounds like it's like a torpedo chute or something like that.
Yeah, I'm also curious. The part of it that confuses me the most, and it's a part that we never get, and it probably doesn't matter, is A, what is the pod, and B, for what reason would it need to be jettisoned? That's what I would want to know. Because it results in this guy dying. So, like, it feels like that's something that should have been explained, personally.
Yeah, I don't know what was in the pod that had to be jettisoned. So we were stuck in an ion storm, so maybe...
Right.
It was something we were outfitting, something, the classic maneuver where we throw something out into space to have explode so we can ride the shockwave out. Is it something like that, maybe?
Sure. And then we had him riding on the missile, like that one movie.
Accidentally. He wasn't
Dr.
supposed to be.
Strangelove? Is that what that movie is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Either way, he's reading his deposition about jettisoning this guy. And then Spock beams down and he hands one of those weird, like, hard plastic floppy disks to Stone. And as soon as he does, a psycho girl who looks like the basis for that movie where there's a child, but who's getting adopted, but she's actually a grown adult. I think that this is where they got the idea from, because this child looks like she's 30.
Orphaned?
Is that what that movie's called? Or are you saying that she's an orphan because her dad's dead? Because both are correct.
That's what the movie's called.
But she comes in and she just starts yelling at Kirk for killing her dad, which is weird. I also don't really know why she was allowed in here, but she got in, and here we are. And then Spock has to just basically grab her by the hand and walk out with her.
Her name is Jamie.
Her name is Jamie. That will come up later, but...
And the subtitle spells it Jame. That's it.
Yeah, it's not the only name that's weirdly spelled in this episode, so I'll let it slide a little bit. But they do say later that she is named after Kirk.
Yeah.
Because he was friends with Benjamin Finney. And so he named his daughter after her. So instead of James, it's Jame without the S, but they pronounce it Jamie. I guess.
Jamie. Yeah.
I don't know. The spelling is weird, but we're also in the super future, so who cares? I guess.
Yeah, it's fine.
Stone asks again, he's like, hey, did you jettison the pod when you were on red alert or when you were on yellow alert? And Kirk's like, red alert. And he's like, okay, well, then you're under arrest, buddy.
You just been caught in a lie,
I just
my friend.
got your ass, dude, because this floppy disk says that you did it when you were on yellow, which is against protocol. You're under arrest, buddy. Don't leave the country, which is just this space station.
Yeah.
But that doesn't seem to mean a whole hell of a lot because literally the next scene is him and Bones just like at a bar.
Well,
so he's not like really under much confinement. He's
don't
allowed
leave
to
the
just
space
hang
station when the bar's on the space station.
out. I guess so. But at the bar, he gets recognized by a bunch of guys who I guess are in his graduating class from Starfleet Academy. And they're all also pissed at him because I guess news has traveled immediately that Finney is dead. And they're like, there's a guy where they're like, Ben was a friend of ours too. Rude. I wonder how long it'll take you to get a new, what was it, records officer?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're just like being the worst. So Kirk gets like a little defensive at first, but then he's just like, you've made up your mind, and he leaves. And as he leaves, he passes a woman in a crazy dress who identifies herself as Ariel Shaw. She says it like Ariel, but it's spelled Areel.
Yeah.
So here we are, a second weird name. It's, I think, the last weird name of this episode, but here we are. Women in space have weird names. That's what I've learned today.
Yep, that's true.
And she identifies herself as a friend of Kirk's to Bones, who was also there. And
Bones. Let's talk about Bones here.
Bones
wasted no time.
He got drunk immediately.
Our old horny drunk doctor immediately swoops in on the first sultry lady he sees.
Ugh. It is funny though, because he says all of my friends look like doctors, and all of his friends look like you.
Look like floozies.
And I think that's a funny line.
Bones, what are you doing?
I also like this actress. I don't know anything about her, but I like her. She's cool. In his office, Stone is now questioning Kirk about what happened. It's not like the official court thing yet. They're just getting it on record. And we find out, this is where we find out that Finney and Kirk were friends, and that his daughter was named Jamie after James T. Kirk. It's also revealed that at one point, Kirk ruined Finney's career by, he relieved him of duty once when he was like on watch of something, and he left a circuit of some nuclear, I don't know, open. And if it had been left open for a couple more minutes, then like something really bad would have happened and the ship would have exploded. So Kirk closed it and then reported him because he's a narc, I guess, and got Finney heavily reprimanded and put at the bottom of the list for promotion. And that badly impacted his career to where he was delayed getting put onto a starship or something, and then also was never put in command of a ship.
Yeah.
So that's like the big beef between the two of them.
Whereas Kirk is very, very cool and immediately got assigned to a ship and then got captaincy very quickly.
Right. We also get another sort of rundown of what happened. Finney was assigned to a pod not because of any particular reason other than it was literally just his turn. They say the order was we went to yellow alert, then we put him in the pod, then it got worse, then we went to red alert, then we ejected him. And then Stone's like, look, buddy, it's not looking good. I got a plea bargain for you. If you just say that you did it on accident and that like you made a mistake, then I will make it so that you get a ground assignment instead of being like, I don't know, dishonorably discharged or whatever, arrested presumably for murder. And Kirk's like, what if eat my shorts, bud? What if you suck my ridges, homie?
I'm James T. You can't do this.
And so he gets like kind of aggressive about it. And I understand why, but it's also like this guy's literally just doing his job, and you have to admit the evidence looks pretty damning.
But he didn't do it.
Yeah, but he don't know that.
He does know that. He knows what he did.
Stone doesn't know that.
Oh, well, you can eat my shorts, like you said.
So Kirk basically demands a trial. And then we immediately cut back to the bar. We're just jumping back and forth. Stone's office bar, Stone's office bar. We got 3 rooms in this episode.
Actually, I didn't save it because I didn't find it super interesting, but there was a trivia thing about how originally they wanted this episode to like be done in only one set.
Oh,
they eventually
Angry Men sort of situation.
Yeah, but they eventually like expanded it to be more than one, but as little as we can. So we have a bar, but that's
Gotcha. So back at the bar, Kirk is meeting with Ariel Shaw, and he's very clearly like really smitten with her. He
even while on trial for perjury, he still finds time.
he's trying to get it in. And I will say the drink he's ordered is, and I don't mean this in the sense that people are going to take it, but the fruitiest drink I've ever seen in my life. There's like a stick coming out of the top of it with like 7 different space fruits and a cherry on top.
Okay, we don't know
And the
they're
straw,
space fruits. They're the same as the food cubes, the colored food cubes.
that's true. I assumed they were like slices of melon or something, but you're right. They probably are the food cubes. But that would be weirder because like people put fruit in cocktails. People don't put
Yes.
like a sandwich on a cocktail.
Well, Kirk did here.
But we do know it's his. The straw is pointing at him. No one drinks it, but it's pointing straight at him. That's his
I
drink,
ordered
buddy.
I ordered a liquid salad. It's got leaves coming out of it.
I also wrote, and this is a joke for no one, because of the way Shaw is dressed. I wrote, her earrings say Kendra Scott, but her dress says Celia B. There you go.
That was for no one.
I told you.
Right.
It was for me, is what it was.
It might have been for someone. If you're out there and you get that,
If you got that
leave a
joke, you're
comment.
welcome. Anyway, they're catching back up, and he's like, how long has it been since we've seen each other? And she's like, 4 years and half of whatever, and 7 months and a couple days. Like, she knows it basically to the day, which is crazy. Imagine
And then
that
a little-
you are so hung up on a guy that you're like, it's been 47 hours, 42 minutes, and 3 seconds.
Well, then we see a little 4-year-old run by in the background.
Oh.
Like, hey, wait a minute.
Anyway, so that's crazy. And then she's like, it feels like you're not taking the court case very seriously. And he's like, well, I know I'm fine because I know I'm innocent. And she's like, okay, well, here's the deal. The prosecution's going to say that it's you versus the computer, and the computer doesn't make mistakes. So you're going to have to figure something out. And he's like, okay, well, why don't you be my lawyer? She's like, I know. But hey,
I can't.
the fleet is going to like put the smackdown on you. It's going to be rough. They're going to make an example out of you because they don't want other people to not take the plea bargain, basically. Like nobody else has ever gone to trial for this sort of situation.
I think there's more to it than that. I think, quite frankly, they don't like you, Jim.
I agree that that's the case. This is playing into my previous, from like however many episodes ago, my previous thought process that the crew of the Enterprise is the JV squad. They are the Suicide Squad of Starfleet, and they're like, we gotta get this guy out of here. Like he's not getting it done.
But he does get it done. He gets it done every time. They just don't like how he gets it done.
He gets a lot of people killed. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, mission accomplished.
Golly, I bet people get assigned to Kirk's command, and they're like, no, please, anything but Kirk. No, please.
Take him to Detroit.
We're all gonna get super high, and then one of the guys is gonna run around with a sword, and then we're not gonna know where the sword is for 79 episodes.
Big rabbit on that planet. I can't go. Can't go back to the big rabbit planet.
Don't send me back to the Enterprise, whatever you do. And he's like, okay, well, if you're not gonna be my representative, can you give me one? She gives him the name of this guy, Cogley. And then he's like, why won't you tell me anything about, like, why are you telling me so much about the prosecution? Like, how do you know what they're doing? And she's like, because I'm the prosecution. And then she walks off, like, all sultry.
Dun, dun.
And you're like, oh my God. But, like, we only knew one lawyer on this planet, so she had to do something.
We're about to meet another one. The real Saul Goodman of the Star Trek universe.
Yeah, so he walks into not Saul Goodman's office, and it's full of books. And I also noted Kirk immediately goes to get a drink, which I think maybe implies that this is supposed to be his place, like his quarters while he's stationed here. But it's full of this guy's books, and like I can't imagine this old ass man carrying 500 books into Kirk's quarters.
I don't think it is Kirk's quarters. I think Jim Kirk wants a drink. Jim Kirk pours a drink. I think that's the deal.
But also another thing that I noted is it is the exact same bottle from Naked Time, or no, Enemy Within.
Ooh,
That was in Bones's like medicine cabinet, and that evil Kirk was like, "Give me a drink, damn it!" Same
to
one.
subconsciously have the audience think, "What if Jim is evil?
What if
now?"
this is what if this has been evil Kirk the whole time? That would explain a lot, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, he meets this guy. His name's Samuel Cogley. He seems cool, and honestly, I think he's one of the better actors that we've seen in the show so far. I really like him a lot. He loves books and hates computers, which is funny for this episode in particular.
This is becoming a we don't trust computers type episode.
It is. Well, in the not the previous episode, whichever one it was where the computer was horny, was also a we don't trust computers episode.
Right.
So maybe we don't trust computers here. And the one after this, also kind of a we don't trust computers episode. Computers are bad in this universe.
Computers are bad always. Turn them off.
Anyway, he asks him to represent him, and so that's what we got a lawyer now. That's this scene. So we go straight to the court-martial, and Stone rings, and I wrote, the most unimpressive bell I've ever heard in my life. The tinging noise of ringing this bell is like, brother, you could have just said, all rise, or something, and it would have been way cooler. Like, this bell sounds like it's on the handlebars of a children's bicycle.
Oh, ding, ding. Yeah, it's like a bicycle bell almost.
That's what I said! I also noted, because it was pissing me off this whole scene, which is like the next third of the episode. Why are nobody's medals at all consistent? The medals on people's shirts, not a single one.
You put them on in the order that you like. So I took note here. Kirk's medals are all just like splotched on in a big like burst of colors and shapes.
Just
whatever.
Threw that shit on there.
Floating star.
And Stone's are too.
Whereas Spock, you know what? Maybe it is a human versus Vulcan thing, because Spock, his medals are arranged like a little Christmas tree.
I said it's either a tree or it's the Starfleet logo, but what throws a wrench in that is that Bones's are also organized very nicely.
Well, he's not a human or a Vulcan, he's a doctor, so that's different.
That's fair. I'm not a human, Jim, I'm a doctor.
Maybe there's like a specific uniform way that you're supposed to arrange your accommodations and medals, and just like when you get so many, it just becomes a fuck it. Just put them on there.
Well, and Cogley must not work for Starfleet because he doesn't have a uniform. But Shaw doesn't have any medals. She just has like the flower thing that I think is supposed to be representative of Starbase 11, because I believe the last time we were here they also had flowers.
It's either like the Starbase, or maybe it's like not naval service. Like she's Starfleet obviously because she's wearing the uniform, but it's maybe she doesn't like, it's like a non-military side of it. You know what I mean?
Maybe. I don't know. She does have a uniform. She's clearly in uniform, and it's a nicer uniform. It seems longer. It's got like the gold trim on the neck and a little black collar. It looks nice.
You're gonna spoil the only fun trivia I have about this episode.
What? It's like the one good-looking woman's costume we've got in this whole show so far.
This marks the only appearance of the female Starfleet dress uniform during the original series.
It's good too. It's a good-looking one. That's my favorite uniform that I think we've seen a woman in.
The key difference between this uniform and the standard female uniform are a satin-like sheen, a gold braid on the edge of the collar, and a longer skirt.
Yeah.
So basically, her ass is not hanging out,
which is respectable, and I love her.
She's a professional. She works in a court.
Yes, if she can't have her butt out in court, that's known. You can have it on your butt out when you're a yeoman on a Starfleet ship. Yeah. I guess.
Well, but that's a high stress situation. It has to breathe.
That's heinous. That's heinous, and I wish you hadn't said it. Anyway, we get into the court, and first of all, Stone asks if Kirk like objects to any of the people. He's like, here are the people on the council. Do you object to any of them? No. Do you object to Shaw being your prosecutor? And to which I said, they're clearly like old girlfriend, boyfriend or something. It should be the other way around. Like people should be like concerned about her conflict of interest, not his.
Mm-hmm. Of which she definitely has conflict of interest.
Absolutely. She told him beforehand what her entire case was going to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, damn. I wrote, to his credit, it doesn't seem like he holds it against her, but then I remember just now that, because she told him everything she was going to do. So, like, she's going against it. Also, the computer voice here, much like the Starship, much like the Enterprise, seems to just be Nurse Chapel again.
Yeah,
so she's getting work, even though we haven't seen her in 15 episodes.
Well, that's what happens when you're Mrs. Roddenberry.
Yeah. Anyway, Shaw questions Spock first, and she's like, do computers make mistakes? And he's like, no. And she's like, "Ugh, okay, so then Kirk did it. And he's like, no, the computer was wrong. And she's like, you just said.
I don't know what to tell you.
And he's like, no,
It's
see,
not
like,
supposed to make mistakes.
he's like, I know, man, like, I know Kirk. And she's like, don't speculate. And he's like, I'm Vulcanian, which is, we'll talk about that in a second. But, so I only see it logically. Kirk could not have acted on, what was it, panic or malice? And I said, brother, we've seen him do both. That him chasing down the Gorn, that was malice. Him
that was that was absolutely malice.
him in Miri, that was panic. We've seen him do both, so you're full of it. Also, you were next to him in both of those instances, so you should know about it. What I'm saying is that Spock may only see things logically, but he's also ride or die, and I respect it.
Yeah, he is an absolute G for this testimony because he, in his own Vulcan way, his own Vulcanian way.
Which, like, is
Uh,
it not Vulcan? They are Vulcan, but they are
no,
Vulcanian?
it is Vulcan. I don't think they. I don't know how often they ever say Vulcanian ever again. Point is, kind of committed perjury a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't
it's a-
lie. Because
it's
what
a-
he says is that,
It's
like,
a character witness, and he truly
Yeah.
believes it. So that's not really lying.
yeah.
But like
So I don't
as
know
you
if
pointed out,
perjury.
he's wrong. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's not perjury per se, but
She's like,
I just want to point out at this point,
yeah.
our defense lawyer is not doing a goddamn thing
No. And he will continue to not do a goddamn thing.
for a while. Yes,
I also want to know, whenever they're on trial, they put their hand over this light, and I don't know what it does. Is it a lie detector?
I think it's like a polygraph in a future kind of way.
Maybe so.
Like it just takes your vitals, and if you start sweating, your heartbeat goes up. If your butthole clenches, they're like,
There's
"Hey, he's
another
clenching
light
his
on the
butthole."
chair that scans the butthole.
Apparently, that's a real way you can try to beat a polygraph. By the way,
Clenching your butthole?
yeah.
I've heard the one of putting a pin in your shoe so that you're just, like, in pain the whole time. And so it stays as, like, a constant I'm in pain instead of lying.
I think clenching your butthole is probably a lot easier.
I don't know. I don't need all these toes. Anyway, then she calls a personnel officer to the stand. And the personnel officer, we've never seen her before, and we don't get her name, and she's not a good actor. And she's like, she tells us what we already know, which is that Kirk and Finney had a past wherein Kirk basically got his ass not fired, but demoted.
Yeah.
Or held back,
Yelled
whatever you
at.
want to call it. And then they're like, hey, Cogley, do you want to cross-examine? And he's like, no. No, I'm good.
No, Your Honor.
No. Oh, he's droopy dog.
Who's paying you?
Then she questions Bones, and she's like, hey, Bones, you know space psychology. And I said, is that different from normal psychology?
Well, yeah, a little bit.
I guess.
Probably higher stress situations. You got to know.
But wouldn't that just be like military psychology or something?
No,
I feel like
he
they just
knows all
threw
of it.
space in there for fun.
He knows all of it. You gotta have psychology of dealing with humans in situations. You have to have psychology of dealing with humans in high stress situations, psychology in militaristic situations, and psychology of space situations. And Bones knows all of it.
Yeah.
And he's a drunk horn dog.
Yeah, I was going to say, and you need to know what to do when the girl you have a crush on finds a dress in a bush. You have to know what that means and how you can make the best out of that situation. But basically her line of questioning with him is like, is it possible that Kirk hated Finney because Finney hated Kirk? And he's like, that seems like kind of a jump. And she's like, but is it possible? And he's like, yeah, I guess.
Technically, I guess.
And all I'm saying here
No
is
further
like,
questions, Your Honor.
is we're going to
Like, wait
see in a minute that she has like actual good evidence. And I don't know why she didn't just show that and be like, well, there you have it, officer.
Is that not leading the witness also, what she just did there?
Uh,
Wouldn't you possibly say, potentially, in a certain manner, that this guy, on a certain day of his life, might have negative... Like, come on, Your Honor.
yeah,
What is this?
it's weird. It's a weird thing, and I'm not really sure what the hell's going on with it. It also feels like it's just not a good line of questioning. Like, it feels like kind of a waste of time.
Well, I mean, she's throwing, right?
That's
Like-
true. I have to keep reminding myself that she is intentionally being bad at her job today.
She's breaking the law.
Yeah. So, never mind. No further questions, Your Honor. So, Commodore Stone is then like, "Hey, Cogley, did you want to like do your job at some point?" And he's like, "Well, I was just waiting
No,
for me to call my guy." He's like, "You didn't want to question and talk to any of the other witnesses?" And to be fair, at this point, 2 of the 3 witnesses have been like, he couldn't have done it. So kind of a waste of time. And anyway, but still, he's just been sitting there like basically with his feet up the whole time, with like his hand leaned on his chin or whatever. You know what I mean? Like he's just relaxed the whole time.
Playing Brick Breaker on his phone.
He's got the first BlackBerry and he's just playing Brick Breaker. But yeah, so he's like, "Okay, well, I want to question my witness, which is Kirk." And so he like doesn't even really question him at first. He just has he just has Nurse Chapel's computer voice read all of Kirk's accolades as if that makes it possible. As if the fact that he has a lot of medals means that he couldn't have also committed a crime.
No, I agree. Like, he's a bad lawyer, but it's a big brain strat. I mean, it would be if there was a jury, which there isn't. But like, if there was a jury here, just being like having the computer go on for 10 minutes, just listing like he's received this medal of honor, this ribbon of honor, this thing,
he's got a big penis,
this award, big penis.
And then he made a cannon and he shot a Gorn.
The lawyer is like, the prosecutor lady. She's like, "Come on, we know he's got a lot of awards,
bro. I get it."
and then our guy is like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Am I not allowed to do this? Am I not allowed to? Am I being interrupted?" Like, no, let him go on. Like, all right, continue listing, and he just keeps going.
And then he basically is just like, "So were you on red alert when you jettisoned the pod?" And he's like, "Yes."
No. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Probably.
He just lies. He throws the whole thing away. It's like that. God, what dropout show is it? Where it's like Brendan Lee Mulligan is playing a lawyer in a skit, and Zach, whatever his last name is, I forget, is playing the guy who's on trial. And Brendan Lee Mulligan is like, "Is my client perfect?" And Zach goes, "No, I killed him."
Oh. Oops.
It was too long of a lead up to get to that point for me in this joke in this moment. But I just want you to know it was a funny bit and I appreciated it. And then he's like, "Would you do it again?" And then Kirk doubles down and he's like, "Yes, because my experience and my training and blah, 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 blah. I have 75,000 confirmed kills and my penis is huge. I would have done it again. Everything I did was necessary. I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm the best."
and he was right.
I mean, I guess. But then here's the thing. Shaw comes up and cross-examines him and plays a video. She rolls out the VHS on the TV stand, and she plays a video that shows him being guilty.
They caught him in 4K.
It's the best camera work we've seen. The closest zoom we've ever seen on this thing. It's pointed directly at the buttons, which, by the way, should have a cover on them. They're just there.
Let's talk about the buttons.
Yeah, we need to talk about the buttons. It's not okay.
There are 5 buttons.
Right.
2 of them are unlabeled.
We don't know what they do. One of them presumably does something awful to Scotty, based on how the show's gone.
Yeah, it's temperature control for engineering, and he just cranks it up.
Yeah.
Okay. The top 2 both say alert, and there's a yellow flashing light and a red flashing light.
Right. So yellow alert.
That's obvious.
Alert.
We know what that. The third button just says jettison pod.
Yeah. These buttons do what we need them to do for this episode and nothing else ever.
Why is that there?
And also, why does he have the buttons? Doesn't he say, "Go to yellow alert, go to red alert"? Doesn't he say that shit? Like, what does he need a button for? Doesn't he have a whole crew of people around him to do the button pushing?
I think everybody has these buttons.
Everyone's got the kill Finney
whenever he says, "Go to red alert," he's like normally standing up, I think. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
Entirely possible that he's sitting here and he could.
Does he say go to yellow alert when he pushes the yellow alert button?
You know what? I've got it. I've cracked the code.
Okay.
This panel of buttons was installed this week, and after the trouble it caused us in this episode, he had it taken out.
Yeah. Because it needs a cover. First of all, it says the buttons are just right next to his hand, and we see that like they're in the storm. They're rocking around like they do in Star Trek, and he could so easily just like slip and hit the kill my guy button.
The jettison pod.
Or
You know,
whatever
or
the hit
if
Scotty in the balls button that I assume is one of these other
if
two.
not the cover, the bottom button should be like, "Are you sure you wish to continue?"
Yeah, we need the confirm button.
The confirm click.
Wildly unsafe, these buttons. But anyway, the video just shows they talk, and send Finney to the pod, and then he hits yellow alert, and then he hits jettison pod before he hits red alert. That's what the video shows. It is uncut, and it shows the whole situation. And I'm going to be honest with you, they explain how he's not guilty later, and I don't think it explains away this.
AI technology, Daniel.
Yeah, man, I guess so. I'm looking at my notes. I have 3 different bullet points that are just like, why are these buttons not covered? I was really upset about it at the time.
Those buttons are a bad idea.
It's not great. So after this, we cut back to Kirk's quarters on the star base, right? I think we get like a little break in the thing while I guess while they like come up with final arguments. I'm not really sure why we leave the courtroom.
Yeah, we're on recess.
I guess so. This entire scene doesn't really make sense to me. So basically, they go back to Kirk's place, and then they joke about like, well, I'm screwed. I'm gonna go to super jail. He's like, maybe your next captain you'll be able to beat at chess. And then Spock goes, that's it. I'm gonna go play chess.
All right. Well, I do like this scene where he's talking to the lawyer because he's having a genuine like, did I really mess up? Like I spent my whole career, training for these situations, and I literally pushed the wrong button. But yeah, so then he makes a crack to Spock, which have we seen them play chess before? I will say that
in Charlie X they played, and
there you go, Charlie X.
Is it weird that I just knew that off the top of my head?
Our favorite episode. That's your favorite episode.
Why do I have a good memory of Star Trek and nothing else right now?
Because that's it's the curse has been passed.
Oh no! Next you're gonna pass me the Chris Chan curse.
Don't censor that. Don't utter that name.
He shall not be named. They should not be named. That's correct.
Yeah.
But
in Spock's Vulcanian, that's just what this episode is. I'm gonna keep doing it.
It's weird. I don't like it.
In his brain, he gets the brain blast, and he's like,
brain blast.
Huh. I think he just like pieces together like, if the computer is fallible and can make a mistake, I have a way to test it.
Right.
So
I guess that's fair. Anyway, Jamie comes in and she's like, I forgive Kirk now. Now that I saw him push the button that killed my dad, I know that he didn't do it.
This lady's got problems.
I don't like this kid. This 30-year-old child, not a fan.
Yeah.
Who
keeps letting you in these rooms?
Why do you keep getting in here? She was also in the courtroom. She was just kind of like sitting there, and she didn't do anything. So she was like the only person who was there strictly as a witness, or like, well, not as a witness because that means something else in court. But you know what I mean? To just watch.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I mean, her dad's dead.
Her dad's dead, so I get it. But it's also like, I don't know. I feel like if we were gonna do that, then we should have had an audience. I don't know. Anyway, we cut up to the Enterprise, I believe, at this point, where now Spock is playing chess against the computer. And
Bones is pissed.
And Bones comes in and he's like, our bestest bud and your boyfriend is about to get his ass sent to jail forever. And you're playing chess. And Spock's like, I am. And I just won for the 5th time. And Bones immediately reacts like that means something. And I don't believe, A, that Bones would know what it meant even if it did mean something. And also, he's playing a chess game against a computer. You can pull up a chess game on your Windows 98 computer right now and beat the computer at it. I don't feel like beating the computer at chess means anything.
But Spock didn't program that.
I guess. But like, why would you program a chess game that's unbeatable? That's not fun.
He's a Vulcan.
He still wants to win. He said if I played perfectly, the best I could do was tie. Is that a game? Yeah. To tie the computer?
Yes. Technically, it's a game.
I guess. I don't
He
care
can roll
for it.
credits. You can't
Roll
100% it, but he can
credits.
roll
Yeah.
credits.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You got
Um,
me on that one.
yeah, he you know what's funny about this is like as Kirk mentioned before, like Kirk's the only one that can beat Spock at chess. So
Right.
can Kirk beat the computer?
Hard to know. I guess you could right now because he enters this as information that the computer has been tampered with. And I'm not really sure where that jump comes from. I don't know if he was like
Well,
playing chess against it, but then also testing it on like a programming side.
it's because Spock has computer brain,
I
and
guess.
he's playing it like a computer would play it, and the computer's playing it as the computer should play it as he programmed it. So theoretically, he should come to the same outcome, but it's not, which gives him reason to believe that the computer has been tampered with in some way. It's it's shaky, it's kind of messy, but it's there. I see it.
That's fair. I just think that I don't feel like it is like damning evidence for the court case. You know what I mean?
No, it shouldn't be,
Yeah.
but it's reasonable doubt.
And I don't remember if it's here or later where they're like, there's only 3 people who would have had access to this, and it's me, Kirk, and Finney. And I'm also not really sure why Finney is
What
the
a
third person.
coincidence. No, it is because he's the records officer.
Well, and I get that, but like, why would he have access to the computer that runs the chess game?
It's the ship computer. It's all of it. Which again, that sounds silly, doesn't it? But it's true.
Yeah. Wait. So Bones doesn't have access to the medical logs. The records officer
Well,
has more access
he's got
than
access.
the doctor.
He's got access to use it, but not like the data logs, like the ones and zeros. So you can't Bones can't change programming. I don't think.
Well, what is a records officer? Would that not just be like a person who keeps the files? That wouldn't be a programmer. It's not an engineer.
You're not wrong, but in this case, he is.
Okay, yeah, sure. That shut me up.
I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I don't know that it makes sense, but it's what it has to be for this episode, so I'll let it go. I'm just saying it's weird. But they go back to the court case, and then Cogley's like, yeah, so basically I want to cross-examine the computer.
It's a bold strat.
Which, like, I want to point out, he doesn't do.
No,
It's like
he's a bad lawyer.
It's like his big moment of the episode. It's him being like, aha, it's this big, like, theatrical move. I'm going to cross-examine the computer. And then they don't. They just don't do it.
He starts listing like fundamental human doctrines throughout history and future history, and
Yeah, I was
him
going to say,
saying
including
that
some that don't exist yet.
that his client has the right not to be damned by the words of a dang circuit board,
This damn
etc.
computer. Why, I just don't understand these computers. Anyway, so then Spock
Yeah.
testifies that he's won 5 chess games, and they go, oh.
That's cool. Big day for you, huh, little man?
Big day. And your captain's about to go to super jail? Awesome.
We're gonna get you some space McDonald's.
Actually, we've only seen one jail, I guess, in this universe so far, and it was kind of nice. If you take out the doctor that's brainwashing people, not that bad.
Yeah.
So, this is where he explains that, like, the best I should have been able to do is tie, blah, blah, blah. This means that the computer has been tampered with. And where he says that the only people who could have had access to it was him, Kirk, and Finney. And then they somehow immediately jump to the conclusion that Finney is not dead.
Well, if Kirk didn't tamper with it to frame himself, and Spock didn't tamper with it because he's trying to prove Kirk's innocence, that leaves only one guy that could have theoretically tampered with it. So let's give it a shot. I'm going to be honest. It's I'm not against what's happening. I'm just intrigued by how willing the court-martial officers are willing to go along with it.
They go along with it immediately.
They're like, yeah, sure. They go up to the Enterprise. They're like, okay.
Their first question is it like their first question is, would it be possible to hide on the Enterprise? And it's like, yeah, it's a big ass ship, dude.
Pretty big. Well, the way they phrase it is,
he must not be dead.
It's like when the guy disappeared, like, what did you do? He's like, oh, I did a phase 1 search. Well, what's a phase 1 search? So it's like, well, we all link arms. We go down the hallways.
We get the dogs.
And we look for anyone who's missing. And they're like, well, is it possible when you're searching for someone, you assume they want to be found.
Right,
Which
sure.
I don't know if that's 100% of the time, but sure, I believe it.
We looked for this kid as hard
But he was
as
unconscious.
they looked for Will Byers in Stranger Things.
Mm.
We did the
But
same
like,
thing.
but what if he doesn't want to be found?
But what if
Could
he's
he
in a
evade the
different
search?
universe?
And they're like, oh my god, yes.
With how
Let's
this
go
show's
up
been
there right
going,
now.
they should the more reasonable conclusion would have been the jettisoning made him go real fast, and now he's in the future.
Yeah, and now he's like a time traveling bad guy.
Now he's become the first Doctor in Doctor Who.
Ooh, wow, that'd be what a twist that would be.
It'd be a lot of fun, honestly. Anyway, so then they go, yeah, like you said, they go up to the bridge of the Enterprise, and Kirk is like, okay, everyone who's not in this room, get off the Enterprise. So
Everyone,
so everyone leaves, which apparently somehow
hundreds
immediately
of
makes it
people.
so that the orbit of the Enterprise starts decaying. Which I'm going to be honest with you, maybe could have just kept like one or two other engine. Just keep Scotty, because I think he
Oh,
would have been enough to make the not have this unnecessary ticking clock that I feel honestly also does nothing for this episode. But here
but
we are.
what if he's hiding in engineering, which he was.
Then you just take the wand thing. Here's okay. Then they're like, okay, we're gonna use a thing, and in this, for a multitude of reasons, pisses me off. They're like, we're gonna use this thing, and it's gonna record all the audio in the ship, and it's gonna multiply it by 1 to the power of 4, which is 1.
Right. Yes.
So it would be the same volume.
No,
Did
it's
we
four
not
times
have
as
math in the
it's
60s?
it's 4 times as loud as one, is what they're saying.
That's not what that means.
Who said that? Who said that line?
I
I'm gonna
think
go.
it was either Spock or Bones.
If it was Spock, that's embarrassing. If it was Bones,
He's
he's an
drunk.
idiot. Yeah. And if it was Kirk, he just doesn't know. So it's.
I need to
We
know
don't have
now.
we don't have time to check who said that, but
Okay, all right. Anyway, so they get a sound, and it's like a crazy like techno beat, basically.
yeah,
And they're like, "This is the heartbeats of everyone on board," and I'm like, "Crazy." I'm gonna use this karaoke microphone
it's
to
just a microphone.
so that, and I'll use
Now
it
that's
to somehow white noise mask out the sounds of our heartbeats. And so he has to go to every single person on the crew and do that. But then he can
that's
just isolate the one guy who's in the transporter room. And I feel like you could have just been like, we're going to remove all of the ones that are in this room. Here's a white noise device that's in the room, and not
no.
have to spend 5 minutes walking around. But we had to pad for runtime because we were done with the episode at this point, frankly.
We had to do the effect of like hearing the heartbeats diminish.
I guess so. Yeah, I mean, it was a neat effect. But then there's just one left, and they're like, "Oh my god!" And then Stone is immediately like, "That's gotta be Finney."
It's a
Like,
great
all right.
plan. It's a great plan unless the guy is also hiding in the transporter room.
Ooh, could have been.
Because I assume they just cut off that whole room.
Yeah, that would be my assumption.
But luckily, he was in the engineering deck.
And then they're like, okay, let's go to engineering and let's kick this guy's ass. But only Kirk goes because because this time it's personal, I guess. Which this is also a huge conflict of interest because, to my knowledge, in the rest of this episode, we never see anybody else see Finney. I know that he gets arrested, so theoretically people would see him after that. But
they see him at the end. He goes on trial. But yeah, up to this point, I mean, Kirk's got to catch the bad guy that tried to wrong him. That's got to happen. I'm sorry. I misspoke. Kirk's stunt double has to catch.
Oh my god.
The guy.
Okay, so yes. So he goes down and he talks to Finney and is like, blah, 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 why'd you do this? And Finney's like, I wanted a command, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to blow up the ship because it should be mine. Whatever. He's lost his mind. He's crazy now.
He went full, like, when we heard him on the recording earlier,
He seemed like a normal dude.
he was holding it together. Do you think he edited that too? Like, do you think when Kirk called down and he was like, Finney, time to get out of the pod, he's like eating rats in the pod? Because this dude is nuts.
Yeah, I think he spent the last day or whatever sucking radiated water off the cooling tanks or something, and he's going ghoul mode. But yeah, so they have a fist fight, and it is, I think, the most blatant use of a stunt double to this day. Like, I now know exactly what the stunt double's face looks like because I've saw it like 4 times, and he's handsome. I'll be honest with you, good looking guy.
It's definitely one of those things where man, there's so many questions that come into it. Like, first of all, Shatner couldn't throw a fake punch. Shatner couldn't do a roll on the
Yeah,
ground.
some of them are like little judo throws, and I'm like, he could have learned how to do one of those. Like,
They just filmed like a section of this fight like as a wide shot. And granted, when you're in the 60s and you're probably watching on black and white, at least for the first half of the show,
right.
and the TV resolution is much lower, there's no way you can tell from that wide shot. That's the point of the wide shot. We're in 2025, and this shit is uploaded very high def on Paramount Plus.
Yeah. You full screen that
That
and you're
is
like, those are two different guys.
two different guys. Oh, it's okay.
And
Movie
the thing that
magic,
makes it the
TV
most
magic.
blatant, I think, is that at one point, of course, as per tradition, Kirk gets a slutty shoulder ripped out.
Oh
And
yeah, I
when
didn't
they
even write that in
cut,
my notes.
of
It was
course,
just so
it's
regular.
expected. If he's in a fight, expect a shoulder to pop out. He has to distract kids in math class. That's what my dress code taught me.
Oh,
But when they cut to the stunt double from that point on, the body, whatever you want to call it, body double, whatever, his shoulder is still ripped, but not as much. Kirk's rip goes like all the way down to his belly button, basically, and the other guy just has like a normal, his shoulders out. You know what I mean?
yeah.
There's like
It,
6 inches of difference in this rip.
it's a big tear.
He's got like half his titty out. Also, I just want to point out because I have it in my notes here, and I want to, I guess, get your thought on this. Was Finney giving you Defoe energy when he was ranting and raving? He looks like Willem Dafoe to
Sure,
me a little
I
bit.
could see. I didn't. That didn't come to mind while watching it, but I can see what you mean. He's got a bit of Green Goblin going on.
There's also the bit where he's like, because for some reason they brought Jamie up. We don't see her on the ship as far as I'm aware, but they like say in passing, "Oh, and bring Jamie up so she can talk to her dad or something." And
I think Kirk was like, "That's a bargaining chip." As
yeah,
soon as this crazy son of a bitch says he's gonna blow up the ship, I'm like, "Well, guess what, fucker? I got your daughter on the ship.
got your
Now what?"
got your car keys. But he, in the most spectacular moment of overacting since I am Captain Kirk, we get, why did you do that? Why did you bring her here? And it's like crazy. He's like, it's nuts. It's one of the most unhinged line readings I have heard in this show, and that's saying something.
Mhm.
But anyway, he beats his ass and he arrests him. It's basically the end of the episode.
Well,
Kirk goes and
it's
like,
jarring because the second he like knocks him out on the ground, we like cut straight to him crawling through a tube
yeah, because he has to
to yank some.
unbreak the ship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Very quick sprint to the finish, narratively.
Yeah, so he beats him up, crawls through a tube, which I feel like we've seen this tube before, but I don't remember where.
I'm sure we've seen tubes before.
But like this one specifically, I think that he was crawling through this tube at one point. I wish I could remember what episode it is, but I can't. My powers have failed me today. I just remember. Was it the one? What was the one where they had to cut the shape of Texas out of the wall to get into engineering? Riley was in there, so it must have been Naked Time. It must have been Naked Time. I think it was Naked Time that Kirk was crawling through this tunnel.
No, are you sure that it wasn't the one where Riley gets poisoned by the conscience of the king?
No, because they didn't have to break into engineering in that episode, and I remember that they had to, it was the
Oh,
same episode where they had to break in engineering.
you're right.
I'm
That's
pretty
because
sure
Riley does like lock the doors and he starts playing with
Yeah,
Legos in the engineering
he's
room.
playing with Legos and
Yeah.
singing a song real bad. So I'm pretty sure. Anyway, it doesn't matter. This is not a. It does, it's not important. But yeah, so that happens, and then they do. There's like one more scene where they're on the bridge, and Shaw's like, "Hey, can I kiss you?" And then they do, and that's basically the episode. But I did make note. They kiss and it's really cute, and I'm like, wow, this is honestly the love interest for him that I like the most. She's ride or die, and she's attractive, and she gets to wear a nice uniform. I think she's great. I think this is my OTP for Kirk as of today. But also, when she goes through the door, we then see that there's a security officer or something who is standing like 6 inches away, and as soon as the
Yeah.
kiss is done, then he leaves. What's up with this dude? What's his deal?
Listen, he got assigned to the Enterprise a week ago. His captain's already been court-martialed once. He's gonna die within like the next 2 to 3 weeks. He doesn't give a shit.
And then we get our standard like last lines at the officer's chair that we get in a lot of these episodes, and it's right after they kiss. And I think it's Bones is like, she's a, oh no, Kirk says,
Well,
she's a really good lawyer, and I think Bones goes naturally, or obviously, or something like that.
yeah. Well, it's all three of them are standing there, Bones, Spock, and Kirk, and I think Bones was like, yeah,
Yeah, for
obviously.
sure. Yeah, they're great. Anyway, how do you feel
I
about
did like that part. That part was
it was
fun.
good. Yeah, genuinely, that was one of my favorite versions of that scene. I think was this one. I think it was really funny.
All right,
Uh,
I think what we've established in talking about this episode is that when you try to break it down logically,
doesn't make sense.
very stupid.
Yeah,
That being said, I still really enjoyed this episode.
I did too.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. I liked the courtroom scenes. I liked Kirk in it. I liked Spock in it. I liked the other lawyer just fine. I love the stunt double fight. So yeah, so even though like content wise it may deserve an illogical, I'm gonna give it an engage because I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with you. There's a lot of the things where it's like there's jumps to conclusion, but then you can kind of explain it away by like, oh well, Shaw was throwing for content.
Yeah,
So there's a
yeah.
lot of that you can like kind of like people were clearly really defending Kirk here, and it just frankly worked out that he ended up being innocent anyway. So I'm willing to excuse some of it, and it was just a fun episode to watch. So yeah, I'm giving it an engage. I enjoyed my time with this episode.
I've started kind of like keeping a rough ranking of all the episodes we've watched of like which ones are my favorite, just so by the time that we're at the end of this, I'll have a top 10 or a top 5 or what have you.
Sure, yeah,
I won't spoil where things have landed per se, but this one, as of right now, is shockingly high for what it is.
that's fair. We haven't had a ton of like great episodes. We've had a couple.
Yeah,
Like if this is above Balance of Terror, I'll beat your ass.
it's not.
But
All right, that's the one thing I'll spoil. Nothing's above Balance of Terror right
yeah,
now.
yeah, for sure,
That's
for
number
sure.
one.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. But yeah, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this a lot. I think it's I I don't have a list. I would say on vibes, top 5 episodes so far.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm with you on that one. I agree. What's up, rewatchers? This is Daniel coming to you from the editing room here. Just wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up. This next episode, Return of the Archons, does feature a sort of background B plot about sexual assault that the show does not handle well, and Skyler and I talk about it a decent amount. And so I talked to him while I was editing this, and we decided that it was probably worth it to give you guys the heads up on it, just because I know that there are some people who, for one reason or another, really don't want to hear anything about that, and I totally get that. If so, this next episode is probably one that you should skip, and I totally respect that choice for you. So just wanted to give you the warning. Anyway, love you, bye. But do you want to talk about an episode that won't make that high on the list?
Oh man, I haven't even placed this one yet, but yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about the Return of the Archons.
The Return of the Archons. And I'm going to be honest, the title of the episode did get me a little excited, because I was like, ooh, what does that mean? And the answer is nothing.
Yeah.
Because they, spoilers, never explain what the hell an Archon is. I guess it's just somebody from space? It's an alien? We call aliens Archons?
Well, so okay, thematically, an archon is it's a Greek word for like a ruler,
Sure,
or
yeah.
some an important person, an important political person. No, I take that back. Thematically, that doesn't fit.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. It makes no sense to me. I'm already mad at this episode, and we haven't even started.
Oh man. All right. Well, let's do it.
So, for reasons that we never understand, Sulu and a guy called O'Neill are undercover down on this planet, and they're dressed as like old-timey Earthicans, whatever you want to call it.
They're wearing like Revolutionary War era like British attire.
I wrote colonial, but we're saying the same thing in different ways.
That's yeah, no, you chose the right word. I had too many words.
But
They've got like the big like what are those, the kerchiefs around the neck and the stupid like tri-point hats.
right. what I'm confused about here is we knew how to dress when we came down here, which is already kind of weird because we've never changed the way we dress to go to a planet before. I understand that they're undercover, but
No.
we don't know how this planet works, and I don't know why we knew to be undercover. You know? And also, I feel
I
like a lot of times we've been scanning other planets and been able to get like basically dick ass shit in terms of information. And
That's a
so,
good question
how do we know all this? And the
because
answer is
like
don't worry about it. It doesn't matter.
we're
But
we've established that we're not at the point technologically where we can be like take a big look in our big Marvin the Martian like telescope and be like, people are
ah,
wearing this, and then we replicate those kinds of clothes and beam down. So like you might at this point think like maybe Sulu and O'Neill like found these clothes whether they're down there and disguise themselves or something. But no, by the time that the rest of the people beam down, they're also wearing disguises.
yeah.
So they have some sort of unspoken precedent to assume they know how these people dress, and they also assume that they should hide Spock's ears.
Yeah. Although I will say, and this is a little bit, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves.
Yes,
Spock's fit
we
in
are.
this episode, great. Big fan of it. I think it's a lot of
He
fun. Him and Kirk look
he's
really, the costume department cooked on this one.
he's wearing like a nun's habit.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. It's a headscarf of some kind, but like not wrapped turban esque. It's just like kind
Yeah,
of drape over his head.
I originally in my notes wrote hijab, but then I looked at him. He's not tying it properly.
Yeah.
That doesn't fit.
What I wrote here is Sulu and O'Neill are running in colonial gear and ADRing all of their lines.
Oh, there was some bad ADR right off the bat. Yeah.
But anyway, they get cornered by these two monks carrying lead pipes, and O'Neill runs
Oh,
off, and Sulu's like, "No, we gotta beam out of here." And so he stands there for a while, and one of the monks gets too close and points the steel pipe at him, and he like smiles real big, and then gets beamed up, and then he's talking crazy when he gets up onto the Enterprise. He's like, talking. I don't remember exactly what he's saying, but he's probably saying something like, "Ah, you are not of the body. Be happy
yeah,
with
they
you," or
say
some
that a
shit.
lot. They say that an awful lot. Almost as important to note, like how they're dressing in this. We should also mention we haven't said yet. This is another reused sets of other shows episode.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna assume, but I didn't know for sure. Is this the same set we used for Miri?
Yes, sir.
That makes sense. Yeah. You can't tell, but you can assume. You're like, oh, it's another street that looks kind of like that one. I bet.
They
Because
kind of
budget was.
they kind of just assumed because everyone in Miri, it was almost like the world ended in that one. So
Right.
everyone was dressed all like ratty and everything's all torn up and gross. So this one they assumed like if people are dressed all colonial, you won't even notice. I noticed.
I noticed, and I'm mad about it.
Yeah, yeah.
So they beam down with a like a pretty big group of people. I forget how many guys it's Kirk, Spock, and Bones, and then I think three other guys, but I don't remember any of their names. So,
Mhm.
but it's three other guys who don't really do
I don't
anything
remember.
for the whole
There's
episode.
one guy that
So
gets a bunch of lines like yelling at people. I don't remember his name, but he's important, I guess.
yeah, and I didn't want to be rude about it, but all of the putties, all the security guys are
Yeah.
more attractive than our main cast. They're
Oh,
all.
don't.
I'm sorry. I think they're all just hot.
Well, let's get Kirk's shoulder out, and then we'll see how we feel.
True. It is a good
How would
shoulder.
you feel?
Yeah.
This is an unprecedented question. What if Bones got his shoulder out?
I wouldn't like it.
No.
No. No. Bones is the crew member I am least attracted to.
Well, I think he's the oldest.
It's not even just that. It's just he vibes as a alcohol. Well, he is an alcoholic. But like a person who smokes heavily and is just like kind of gross. He reminds me of like the uncle that you just would like hope that you weren't sitting next to at Thanksgiving.
For the record, our version of Bones is an alcoholic. He's not canonically sucking down gin every time,
You're
but
right.
like
I'm sorry.
we
You're
know
right.
that off screen it's happening.
He's an uncanon canon alcoholic. That's true.
Yeah.
Anyway, they all beam down, and they're wearing really nice clothes, and I do like the way all of them look. But then they get caught by some really sweaty looking extra. He's
Yeah.
the shiniest man I've ever seen in my life. If you
You
told me
know,
he buttered himself before this scene, I'd believe you.
You know what? I want to go back for a second because there's something that we didn't touch on. I don't believe.
Oh.
Referring to Sulu and O'Neill when they came down, they mentioned in the captain's log that they were sent down as a search party of 2 people. They're the only ones to search and survey the planet.
That's a lot.
And we need to send someone down to the planet. Naturally, we send the helmsman.
Yeah, wait, what? Again, we need a security officer. We need like a person in charge of security. We don't seemingly have one of those, but we need like a scout guy and a security guy. That feels like those are 2 things that should be on every ship.
We get those in next gen, but not here.
Ugh. Also, I looked it up. The 3 other crew members are a sociologist called Lindstrom. I think he's the one that talks a lot, and then 2 security guards called Leslie and Galloway. So there you go.
Right.
There's the information you didn't ask for and won't remember.
we have security.
Yeah,
Leslie, Galloway, and Lindstrom.
Lindstrom is the one who talks. Yeah, I am the one who talks. So anyway, he's talking to this sweaty, buttered up guy, and he's got just the worst accent. He's really annoying to me. I hate this guy, and he yells with like 4 lines. But he's awful. His acting is bad. Everyone's walking weird, which is explained later.
Yeah.
But they're all walking like they're kind of robots. And he flags down some lady because he's like, "Are you all here for the festival? Oh, you're not." And he also says, "You're not of the body, huh?" or something, because everyone does.
They say that an awful lot.
And then he flags over some lady, and he's like, "Your daddy can put him up, can't they?"
Yeah, they're being real.
Because he's like, "You're gonna need a place to sleep it off after the festival."
I don't like these people.
This is basically how he sounds. Like, I'm exaggerating a little bit.
I know.
But I don't remember exactly. Pretty sure I'm nailing it.
But they also say, like, it's almost red hour.
Yeah, which, again, I feel like that's not... I might be wrong. Don't think that gets explained.
You know? I don't know.
I don't know what that is. I don't know why that exists. In fact, it goes against some of the stuff that is explained later, but it doesn't really matter. They're hanging out, and they're like, okay, so I guess we got to find a place. And then the clock tower rings, and it's ding dong, it's crime o'clock. Everyone starts just sexually assaulting everyone on the street and looting everything that they can see. It's like, what's up, buddy? It's purge time. And it's insane. The guy we were just talking to immediately starts sexually assaulting the woman who he flagged down.
Yeah, there's big like sex things happening in the street. TV appropriate, mind you. There's like heavy neck kissing that I'm not a fan of.
Well, and I'll just spoil it now. We see it later after this whatever it is ends, and she's like crying. She's beat up.
A horrific aftermath.
And then later, one of the extras sees this buttered up guy who we're talking to when they're walking with this girl's dad, and he's like, "That's the guy who did it," and no one cares.
Morning. You have a good day now.
It infuriated me, and I think that's kind of the point to an extent. But I was also like, this is never explained. This red hour thing is never explained. I don't understand how it fits into Landru's whole thing here. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They run away. They turn on their phasers. I don't know if they turn their phasers to stun here. It doesn't matter. They run away, and they get into a place, and they run into a guy who also looks kind of familiar, but his name's Rhaegar, and he's the dad of the girl who's getting molested outside right now. And he's hanging out with 2 older people called Hakem and Tamar. And I think Hakem is supposed to feel like that. What's that old prospector? Hatham, maybe? I think it's supposed to feel like that, but we're in space, so it's different, you see.
Yeah, we're kind of old timey. I don't know. I'm still caught up on the horrific acts happening outside. Also, I'm trying to find an explanation for why red hour happens, and as far as I can tell, there's just conjecture. Like I think you are correct, and I'm not just not remembering. I don't think they actually say why it happens.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'll be honest. There was a part of this episode where I kind of checked out, but I don't think they explain it.
I think they let the Red Hour Festival happened because when you let out, all right, spoilers. All these
Sure.
people are being controlled, obviously.
Right.
By what I won't say yet, but it's a thing or person called Landrew. And if you take a shot every time someone says Landrew in this episode, you will be dead before the end.
Yeah, but you won't be as dead as the person who takes a shot every time they say body.
It's quite a bit.
We had 2 lines and
Yeah,
we
so
used them.
I think the explanation is we have this festival where you let out all your pent up aggression, frustration, chaotic sexual urges, all this nonsense. We have a purge hour, and then
Right.
once you let that
Well,
out, then everyone's easier to control.
right. It does seem like it lasts until like the following morning, basically. So it's
Yeah.
long. It's like
Yeah.
maybe 12 hours.
Burn off excess mental energy.
Yeah, or something.
But again, I cannot for the life of me remember anyone, unless the computer. Oh, spoilers! Unless the thing says it
Damn.
right at the end.
Damn. All right, skip to the end. We're done. Yeah, I don't believe he does, but maybe. So they go in. There's these 3 guys, and they're like, "Hey, could we get a room?" Basically, and the one guy's like, "Shouldn't you be out doing crimes right now? Are you not of the body? I'm gonna go tell the cops, the lawgivers, and they're gonna kick your ass." And the other 2 guys are like, "Bro, they're not from here. Like they're from a different place." And the other guy's just like, "No, not in my MAGA country. I gotta go get ice on these guys."
And then he goes out and he gets sexually assaulted.
He goes out.
That's why it takes him.
And some
so-
guy immediately starts kissing him. He's just like, "Oh,
So-
hey."
Yeah, big neck kissing. That's why it takes him so long to get back.
Yeah.
Well, that's just terrible. Go on.
So they go up into a room and they just kind of like hang out until the crime stops. They're all like sleeping and just on bunk beds. And honestly, like, I don't know, we're gonna spend a lot of this episode just like, and then they sit around for a while. So the festival ends the next morning, and the town folks just literally just stop and start walking again.
Purge is over.
But also,
Purge has concluded.
But wait. Okay, because it stops, and then they go downstairs, and then Tula, the daughter, comes back in, and she's beat up and she's crying, but she's not acting like the other people. Shouldn't she not be like crying about it? Isn't she under mind control or something?
Well, we do learn that there are people that can stave off the mind control, and I don't have a better way to phrase this, so we're just gonna go with it. The mind control may have been assaulted out of her.
I don't know. Like I could see that, I guess, of like you're in such a mental state that the brain control can't work right now. Like I could see that.
Yeah.
But they don't explain this through line. It really bothers me of the like this girl gets sexually assaulted as a point to just like prove that these people are crazy for a little while, and then we don't talk about it. We barely acknowledge it, and we don't do anything to the guy who did it.
I think we ever see her again either.
We don't. Like it's just this little like background plot point to be like this is to me a grosser version of the like, oh, the bad guy has to kill one of his own guys to prove he's evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. It's not that important, I guess. But
well, yeah, I mean, sexual assault has always been like a thing in particularly like shitty B movies.
Yeah, for
or like
sure.
Trashy movies where it's disgustingly it's a way to get nudity into the film, but then also it's a way like, look how bad he is, look what he did. Like, yeah, yeah, that was pretty bad, huh? And this is obviously a far watered down like television version of it, but it's still skeevy. You're right.
Yeah, it don't feel right. So someone walks off with her, I think one of the security guys, and then everyone else goes into a side room, and then Dickhead from before shows up with 2 lawgivers, which is the name of the monks with the pipes. And they smoke
druids.
out. The pipe druids show up. That's good. That's what we're going with. They show up and they smoke out the old guy. They just point the pipe at him, and like some smoke comes out, and then he's just dead. He's just dead.
It's like
again, this is never explained.
They took PVC pipe and wrapped it in tinfoil and spray painted it. That's what it looks like.
Oh, I assume they just ran down to a Home Depot or whatever the 60s equivalent
It
was.
could be a metal pipe.
Literal pipe.
But like they are hollow pipes. Like you can see that.
Yeah.
and they just point, and some sparks fly out at one point, and it kills a guy. But also Spock picks up one of the pipes. You can just take the pipe from them, by the way. That happens.
Yeah, that's literally what happens right now. Is then they're like, you guys got to come with us. Or sorry, they talk like, you will come see Landru. It is the will of Landru that you will come. And then Kirk's like, no. And they're like, well, shit. I guess you won't then.
Yeah, he just takes the pipe. But why not bonk him with the pipe like
That's
he
what I'm
bonked
saying.
Sulu? That worked
Beat
on
his ass.
Sulu.
Or you've got the phasers. Hit him with the stun.
Hey, wait a minute.
We've got those.
Oh man, we're getting ahead of ourselves. I'll withhold.
Okay.
I'll pocket that. Wait a minute. We'll
So
come back to it.
he takes a pipe and he hands it to Spock, and Spock's like, it's just a pipe. And it's never explained how the pipes can do the things that they've done at any point, because they're just pipes. And I don't understand how Landru did it. It's never explained. But nothing in this episode is. So here we are. God, what do they do?
Well, yeah, this is where we. So okay,
This is kind of where I checked out.
We've both reached the point. We both reached the point where our eyes have glazed over and our notes have really taken a hit.
Yeah, my notes are really bad for this episode, and I apologize. It's especially awkward because because I think I've like focused in on the episode instead of like taking notes, and so my notes from this point on are really bad because I was like, are they going to explain any of this? And the answer was no. Then I was mad about it.
This is when they go back outside,
Right? Okay.
and then they see the assaulter, and
no one does anything about it. Yeah.
And no one cares. And then Landru has all the people on the street pick up 2x4s and rocks and come after Jim and Spock, and then we start like group tasering people.
Yeah,
set phasers to stun.
I think this is also where Rager, the dad, tells us that like, oh, they're all under mind control. They've all been absorbed. That word gets thrown around at least once or twice in this area.
That's another buzzword for this.
They've been absorbed. Landru is controlling them. It's not them, it's Landru. They say that a couple of times in the next little bit here while they're running through the streets, hitting people with the stun phasers so that they don't kill them because they're under mind control.
I'm gonna give this episode credit for something, and it's very minor and very stupid.
Yeah,
when they hit them with like the blast stun phaser.
Yeah.
It's an old effect. Like, it doesn't look great, but, you know, the show's old, whatever. But all the actors drop to the ground at the same time. It just feels kind of satisfying. Like, if this was a video game, I'd be like, yeah, got him.
I do also know, because I was trying to look up what anything in this episode was earlier when I was, like, looking at my notes. I do know how they got them all walking at the same pace.
Yeah.
There was somebody like up on one of the roofs banging a drum, and then they just sound masked it out.
That's fun.
So they were all just marching to this dickhead's drum.
Hey, very colonial. It ties in.
That's what I'm saying, dude. It all works. Anyway, so they're running through the streets and they're just stunning all these guys, and one of the guys is Lieutenant O'Neill from before, and then they're like, bring him with us, and Rager's like, you probably shouldn't, and honestly, they probably shouldn't have, and it doesn't ever come up again, really. So I don't know why they bothered.
Yeah.
But they run into a little hidey hole, and while they're in there, it looks like a rum runner thing, or like a speakeasy. Like there's a lot of shelves and like one cot. I don't know. Or like a bomb shelter, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. It's unimportant. They're sitting around here for a little while.
I don't know if this is part of the same set that they were on, like an internal part of the set, or if this is like a closed studio set from somewhere else that they constructed, because the walls look kind of like hard foamy. You know what I mean? They look fake.
Yeah. I don't think it's a real building. I don't know what it is, but I doubt heavily that it's a real building.
I assume this is like a studio soundstage.
That would make sense. While they're sitting around here, we learn a couple of things, and I might be getting this out of order. We learn that the Enterprise is under attack. It's being shot by what they describe as heat beams, and what I wrote is, you mean a laser? Is that what that is?
No, it's different. Don't they say, because they do specifically say heat beams, but don't they say like something is trying to pull the Enterprise down into orbit and make it crash?
No, so the heat beams are such that they can't do anything but shield against it. So they can't move away and they can't like do other things. And so because they don't have enough energy.
Orbit's decaying.
Yeah, the orbit's decaying again, 2 episodes in a row, because they can't use anything other than the shields or they'll get blown up by the heat beams.
But it's not a laser.
But it's not a laser. Also, I also put in my notes here, he pulls out a lighting panel, like an LED panel, and they're like, this place used to be high tech. And I'm like, wait, what? Sure. Yeah, man.
I guess that's a hint for what's to come.
I guess. I don't think it's a great one. We also learned that there's resistances. There are pockets of resistance against Landru, and they're always in groups of 3, I guess, to keep it secret. And the group of 3 is the guy who just died, the dad, and a third guy that we haven't met yet. So that's set up. I also wrote here for the first time the planet is called Beta 3, which I'm sure they said earlier, and I just didn't catch, I guess.
Every time they said this was the beta planet, I was like, yeah, I bet.
Yeah, it sure is, bud. God, what else? Is there anything else happened in the scene? Okay. Landru projects into the room, and he's like a body and what appears to be a severed head because he's wearing. You can see the neck. It's under like a black turtleneck, but it's the way that the effect works. It kind of like masks out a little bit. So I think the intent is supposed to be that the head is floating.
That's a good question. I don't know if that's the intention or if he's just supposed to be a guy with a black turtleneck.
It's truly impossible to say.
Yeah.
But he's got crazy hair and he's wearing like a toga. And he's like, I'm Landru. There's no crime. Everything's great. And I was like, there is crime. You just told them to do it. What are you talking about?
I think The Purge owes Star Trek some royalties.
I think The Purge is a better version of this story.
Oh,
because at least that is comprehensible.
I don't know about that.
Then this episode?
The Purge is pretty bad. I don't like... Hot take, I don't like any of the Purge
I also
movies.
don't like them, but I'd rather watch a Purge movie than this episode. If it was the same length. I guess the Purge movie
I don't know if that's a hot take. That's a horror hot take.
It's a horror hot take.
Whatever.
Oh, you know what
Andrew
else?
hits the go to sleep button.
He hits the go to sleep button. But one thing that is also here that I have in my notes is that Rhaegar also tells us that there's like there was a huge war, and a bunch of people died, and now this is how it is. I didn't really follow what he was saying, but I just want to throw out there, hey, there was a war. Anyway, Landru goes, and he makes like a crazy sound, and everyone knocks out.
Yeah. Yep. And the episode is halfway over.
Oh my god, that's only the halfway point. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Barely anything happens from this point on.
Yeah, well, hey, that makes our job easier.
That's true. We're almost done, ladies and gents. They wake up in a different cave that looks a lot like the one we were just in, but they've rolled the table and bunk bed out.
Wait a minute. This is a different cave?
Yeah, it's a different cave.
That did not register to me.
They get kidnapped, basically.
I thought he just put them to sleep, and then they woke up, and when they wake up, Bones is gone.
Yeah,
and then Bones comes back.
I think one of the other guys is gone.
I don't remember which guy. I remember Bones.
Yeah, the only one who I don't know their names. I didn't know their names as I looked up earlier, and I didn't look up their faces, so I don't know which one it is. But one of the other ones is gone, and it doesn't matter. Anyway, there's these alcoves in the room, and I wrote, it's weird that the lawgivers, presumably, placed everyone nicely into the corners of these alcoves, because they all wake up like in a sitting position, and they're not shackled or chained or anything. And I'm like, did we learn nothing?
Well, we're gonna brainwash them.
Yeah. So they talk a little bit, and Spock points out, like, hey, that thing we did before where you just didn't do what they said, that probably won't work again because it feels like they're a computer. And if they're a computer, then they'll correct for this, where they're not used to getting pushback, but now they will be. And then like 2 seconds later, the lawgivers and McCoy come back in, and Kirk says no, and he's like, and they're like, Kirk, you got to come with me to get absorbed. And he's like, no. And they're like, then I'll kill you, bro. And he's like, all right, guess I'll go.
Oh, you called my bluff.
I don't know if anything else of value happens in this episode. In this scene, I don't think anything does. So what?
They go to the brainwash room.
They go to the brainwash room, and Kirk meets a guy called
Varys the Spider.
He meets Varys the Spider, or as he's called in this, Marplon, I guess.
Oh my god. There's a line, I don't remember where it is said and who says it because I can't, but someone says like, they're the Archons, Marplon, and I paused the episode and I just stood up, looked outside. I'm like, what's going on?
I looked out my window and I was like, what's going on with my life? What have I done?
They're just nonsense words.
Oh, I don't know if I don't think I said it. Bones has been absorbed. He's now talking about the body and all that shit, and he's like, "It's the will of Landru," and so he's part of the proto Borg now.
Also, Kirk keeps this pissed me off the most. All right, maybe not the most. This episode kind of sucks, but Bones comes in the room and Kirk is like, "Are you all right, Doc?" I said, "What the fuck did you just say?" And then for a second time, he's like, "Doc, what's going on?" I'm like, "You don't never before or and never or again have you ever called him Doc. What are you doing?
What are we doing here?"
I don't like it. That is not his name.
Also, I don't know if it's before or after we get to the scene in the absorption room, but at some point Spock tries to mind meld with Bones and he can't because he's like too far gone or something. I don't know. I don't know if it matters, but I wrote a note about it, so it, I guess, mattered to me in the moment. Anyway, he goes to the absorption room, and what I wrote is, why is there an absorption room? The guys can just point the stick at him, like they did to Sulu.
That's what I was going to say earlier. I was like, you bonked Sulu with the stick, and it worked. Why do we need this room?
What is this room for? They just pointed the stupid magic lead pipe at Sulu, and he went, "Oh, my body's the body," or whatever the hell. What? What's the absorption room? But we need it there because Marplan is spoilers. Marplan's the third guy. He's the third guy in the triad of people who are against Landru in this area, I guess. And so he pretends to absorb Kirk. And so then Kirk has to go back to the place and pretend to be absorbed. And then we get Spock and we do the same thing again. But he also gives Spock his gun. So now we've got two guns. We got Kirk and Spock have guns, and everyone thinks they're absorbed, but they're not. That's where we're at the end of this. And also, we have new ally. His name is Marplan, and he kind of sucks, but we'll get to it.
Marplan Archon. So at this point, maybe I wasn't paying attention. If like when Kirk goes in the machine, if he's like just 10, or I thought that revelation came with Spock. He definitely says like, "I'm the guy. I'm your friend. Take this gun." Just pretend.
It cuts away when it's Kirk, so we don't see what happens there, and it's not until Spock goes in that he's like, "I'm the guy."
So in the moment, I thought it was going to be one of two things.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be either we believe Kirk is brainwashed, but he's not because he can mentally stave this off. So like he'll like do a big judo chop and surprise somebody, and it's like, "Oh, Kirk saves the day."
He's too cool. Or his shoulder is too sexy.
Or a cooler option, Kirk is now under brain control, and Spock is our hero now, and we have to follow Spock, and Spock's going to save the day with Vulcans.
Yeah. Spoilers neither.
And I thought maybe the brainwashing won't work on Spock because he's a Vulcan,
and everyone else here is a human, which I don't really understand, but we don't have time to care about it today.
Yeah, exactly. Instead, neither of those things happen, and this guy just, I guess, told both of them, like, just pretend. And they go back to the same room. They're like, "That was weird."
That sucked, actually. I hated that. But yeah, so he gives them their guns, blah, blah, blah. They go back.
You know what?
They start.
I've got something else for you, though.
Yeah,
I've got something else. Big question for you.
Uh-huh.
He didn't brainwash Kirk. He did not brainwash Spock.
Right.
Why did he brainwash Bones?
He said that he didn't get there in time. But also, like, who else does it? Because the lawgivers don't seem to do it.
The pipe does it.
Oh, no, that's right. When Marplan comes in, when Kirk is there is a lawgiver in the little, like, toll booth thing to do it. Also, yeah, the pipes do it, but whatever. We're ignoring that, I guess, right now. And he does go up to that lawgiver and be like, "The will of Landru, I'm here to relieve you. Go take your slave break," or whatever the fuck we can do here.
Go on, you pipe druid.
Yeah, go on out of here, pipe druid. I'm sick of y'all piping. But no, they go back to the place, the cell, and they start making plans about, like, what are we going to do, blah, blah, blah. Bones overhears them and starts freaking the hell out, and then they have to choke him out.
Yeah.
And I don't know why we didn't just shoot him with the phaser on stun, obviously. But, like...
No.
All you had to do was tell the DM non-lethally, and you could shoot that guy.
If you shoot Bones with a phaser, his alcohol content, he'll just light on fire.
Oh my God, that might be true. He's such
Yeah,
a drunk, he'll die.
yeah, yeah.
But also as part of this, they're like, okay, Landrew's definitely a computer. We for sure know that now somehow. And we got to pull the plug. And then Spock's like, that would violate the Prime Directive. And I went, there's
Mhm.
no way that the Prime Directive exists in this universe. We have messed up so many things, if so.
Yeah.
This, I'm going to remember that this episode established the Prime Directive, and every episode for the rest of the original series, I'm going to be like, but what about the Prime Directive? And it's not going to be adhered to at any point.
Oh, you're just gonna ruin the show for yourself.
But isn't that the thing? Isn't that the thing where
Well,
like the Prime Directive is, and I've only watched like 10 episodes of Next Gen, so you'll have to help me out here. Isn't it
yeah,
literally like we can't mess with other planets? Like we can't even let them know that we exist?
yeah. They cannot interfere with like the natural progression of other civilizations.
Right.
Which you know what? I'll give you my trivia. I'll give you one of my trivia for this episode.
Right.
Which says here, this is the first mention of the Prime Directive officially. The Prime Directive of non-interference, which the plot brings up only so that Kirk can violate it.
It's like a major thing in at least the 10 episodes of Next Gen that I've watched.
They care about it a lot more in future Trek.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. They clearly don't care about it in this.
Look, well, it's not in Kirk's it's not in Kirk's handbook to give a shit about that.
That's fair. Let's see. Okay, so they knock out Bones, and I think maybe the other guy who was also absorbed. Then the two logger givers come in and they knock them out too. Then Marplon and Rhaegar, Dad, they start questioning them about like, okay, can you tell us literally any useful information? And they start freaking out and like will not answer any questions. And then they're like, Rhaegar like gives up and starts being like, just absorb me now, Landru. My butthole is open for you, good God, Landru.
Oh my goodness.
And it's
True.
like, you're the worst resistance I've seen in my life.
Yeah.
You
He
one
forgot to resist.
You're three guys. Yeah, you forgot to resist. One of you got cooked by just some old man. You're unarmed. What do you do here? You let your daughter get absorbed and then let her get victimized and didn't do anything about it? You let her go out to the festival?
Do you think this is like one of those like Matrix questions where like what if the resistance only exists because Landru lets it exist? So like there needs to be people that think they're resisting but they're not.
I really don't know the Matrix that well.
Well,
But
that's not it doesn't come down to that in the Matrix, but
okay.
one of those like philosophical questions where Landru, who's a big computer behind a wall,
Right, which we're about to find out in like 2 seconds.
he's what if I'm saying what if he's like controlling the resistance? Like we need to fight the brainwashing, and they just suck because they don't actually want to fight the brainwashing.
Shit, maybe. I don't know. Either that is true or they're just the worst resistance I've ever seen in my life.
Two things can be true.
Yeah, honestly. Okay. Well, let me just cut to the end here. They disguise themselves as the lawgivers. They go and talk to the projection of Landru one more time. Them and Marplon. Marplon has to like pray to a door to make it open. Then the projection of Landru shows up again and they talk to it, but it can't hear them because just like the first time, which I didn't mention, it's just a projection. So it's talking to them, but they can't talk to it. It doesn't. So they talk at it and it doesn't respond, which is like cool, great storytelling.
I wrote in my notes, a classic Scooby Doo, and then in parentheses, or Wizard of Oz projection.
Yeah. So they're just like, okay, well, screw it. And they shoot the wall behind the projection, which destroys the wall. There's a computer back there. And then it's like, I am Landru. And then for the second time in the series, Kirk asserts that robots cannot have souls. And then he passes a charisma check and convinces the computer to kill itself.
Yeah. It's the typical get the computer stuck in like a logic loop and it fries its own brain.
Yeah.
We see it a lot in fiction,
I guess so.
and
I'm
I'm
sure it's
waiting to
handled better in other
waiting
ones.
for my chance to make it happen in real life.
I'm not throwing away my shot. Okay, they go back to the Enterprise, and then they're just up there talking, and Kirk tells Spock, like, you'd be a good computer, and he's like, this is the nicest thing you ever said about me, bro. And then the episode
Yeah, he
ends.
liked that.
All right, how do you feel about the return of the Archons, and or do you have some trivia for me?
Well, Sulu's back to normal at the end.
Right. Okay. Sulu comes back to normal, and he gets like a. There's one little shot where he does like a sitcom smile at the camera to be like, "I'm fine now."
Yeah,
By the way.
and then he tells some jobber to get out of his chair.
Oh, and they what because it's hilarious in the scene where they walk away from the computer. Marplon's just like still crying, basically, like freaking out that my god was a computer. And then Kirk's just like, okay, have good luck making your society exist again after being slaves for 100 years or whatever. Good luck with that. And then when they're on the bridge, it turns out that they like left a team, including the sociologist Lindstrom or whatever his name was.
Mm.
They leave him and a team of 30 people to like help figure it out. And again I wrote it's a whole planet, but whatever.
One shitty little village at a time.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, that's the episode. As for the trivia, I already said that Kirk does not give a shit about the Prime Directive, but I guess this is the first time we hear it officially.
right,
Um,
pretty cool.
and as we've also already said, the location scenes for this episode were filmed at 40 Acres Backlot in Culver City, the same place where the episode Miri
Whoa.
was filmed, the same place that the episode will get to, The City on the Edge of Forever. That was filmed there.
Oh.
And it's best known as the town from the Andy Griffith Show.
Right. You mentioned that with the Miri one. That makes sense.
So those are the trivia, but I have a little fun story that allegedly happened.
Oh, let me know.
So apparently, during the filming of this episode, all of the regular cast members were attempting to quit smoking at the same time. So everyone was apparently chewing gum instead. The director of the episode was getting like really annoyed and pissed off at everyone chewing gum, like especially during takes, shoots, and he was like, "Stop it, knock that off." So allegedly, as a big old silly prank, William Shatner, epic prankster that he is, went around handing out bubble gum to like every cast member, every like background actor, all the extras, all the crew. And then at one point, the director yelled "action," and everyone blew a bubble at the same time.
That's really funny, actually.
If that's a true story,
That's really funny.
that's classic Hollywood japery that we like to hear.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I actually have a trivia for you that I just found out.
Oh my Gorn, what is it?
So when we were talking about Kirk's body double, I looked him up because I wanted to know who he was. Turns out his name is Bobby Clark.
Bobby Clark.
He, it looks like, was his body double for like most of the show. He was also the Gorn in
Guy
Arena.
in the Gorn suit. Oh.
And he gets his first and only speaking line in this episode. He's a guy who jumps through a window and yells, "Festival, festival."
I wrote that in my notes. I didn't say it though. The screaming festival.
That's our guy.
Well, that's fantastic. Good for Gorn.
So there you are. Actually, it looks like, sorry, I'm reading the fact as we go. He's one of several body doubles for Kirk. He may not have been the one in the previous episode. That is unclear to me.
He does a lot. Kirk Shatner does a lot of stunt work, scenes that require stunt work that he won't actually do. So yeah, he needs a whole team of guys
Yeah.
to get their shoulders out.
So there you go. There's something for you. I hope it helped. This is an illogical for me.
Yeah,
We haven't
definitely.
explained it, and I feel like we still need to explain it every episode. We have there's two. It's if it's good, it's engage. If it's bad, it's illogical. If you've gotten this far into the series, you probably know that by now. But you're supposed to say it, so we said it. Here you go. For me, it's an illogical. I kind of hate this episode. I think it's annoying and boring. We spend half of this
Yeah,
episode not getting answers to questions that are set up, and the other half sitting in a room.
yeah. Last trivia that I just realized that I didn't write down for some reason,
Oh,
although I did catch it, is one of the lawgivers. I don't know which one because they wear hoods. Was played by Sid Haig,
sure.
actor who's in a lot of like horror stuff. He was in House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects. He's in a bunch of stuff. He passed away like 5-6 years ago.
Okay.
But he's a big enough name that warrants mentioning.
Cool.
That he was just in this episode for some reason. That being said, no, I don't like this episode.
No, it's bad. It's a bad
really,
one.
it's really dumb. I'm gonna give this one an illogical as well. I struggle to really think of like a part that I genuinely enjoyed. I guess when Spock punched that guy. I don't know.
Okay. Well, if you liked when Spock punched that guy, you can leave a comment saying how much you loved when Spock punched that guy. Either on Spotify or YouTube, or preferably on both. And then also share this podcast out to one of your friends. We're growing pretty slow, but consistently, and I respect you, and I love every single one of you for being here. And if you could tell some of your friends how great we are and how much you love the way we talk about Star Trek, I mean, I'd appreciate it even more. You can follow the show on Twitter at @RSR_POD. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Daniel J. McGee.
And you can follow me on Blue Sky at Skyler 8-bit.
Thank you so much, everybody. And until next time, let's see what's out there.
The game's just starting, the world's so bright. Jump right in, everything feels right. Press play, take a trip back in time where pixels and memories intertwine.